Hello, my name is Dr. Bayo, an anthropologist by training, but work as an associate professor in Africana Studies at the University of Arizona, Tucson, United States.
Okay, Bayo, the question is, what is post-colonialism?
Well, post-colonialism, it's a combination of two words, post and colonialism. So what that post there signifies is that it's a marker in the history of a people that had been previously under the colonial domination of another power. And then when that period ended, uh, you now transition to the period, the period after colonialism. But it also has a small specific meaning. It's not just referring to the period after the end of colonialism. It also refers to the subtle continuation of the domination of the colonized people, even after they have won their
Okay.
colonial freedom,
Okay.
in which the colonial masters uh, planted their own people are continuing
Mm-hmm.
to manipulate the leaders.
So it's a legacy. Yeah.
They continue to
Right,
influence
right,
what
right.
happens in
Okay.
that former colonial possession.
So I guess we are in that period now
We are in that period now.
because the legacy of colonialism continues.
Yes, that it continues, and when we say the legacy, it's not just what happened during the colonial period,
Mm-hmm.
but what is still happening now in
Right.
terms of the relationship between the former colonizer
Okay.
and the former colonized peoples.
Okay.
In the sense that the influence, the leverage that the former colonial masters had then is still very
Okay.
much alive today, and they are still exploiting that because during the colonial period, everything that happened in the colonial state was controlled from the metropolitan state. And so even after independence, you still have some of those levers of control
Mm-hmm.
that still
Mm-hmm.
resides in the metropolitan state.
Right.
So
right.
you
It's-
have, for
the
example,
infrastructure is still there.
some of them were created, were put there by the former colonial masters. When you look at currency regime of the now independent states,
Mm-hmm.
many of them are at the international scene. They are connected to the currency of their former colonial masters. Uh, the former colonial masters still act as technical advisors in several
Mm-hmm.
areas,
Mm-hmm.
and they still continue to. The most importantly, the trade relationship was to some extent permanently anchored. It's like the umbilical cord that connects the
Mm-hmm.
colonial state
Mm-hmm.
to the metropolitan
Right.
state is still there. And
Yeah.
so you still have those relationships that are still going on,
Okay.
but in form of control, which is not bilateral because it is being controlled by
Okay.
the
So
former
basically,
states.
you're talking about the colonies in Africa and the European infrastructure that was there.
Yes.
Can this be extended to America? And
Well, in the case of America, it's a little bit different. It's different because when you talk about colonialism, there are two types.
yeah.
You have one, a settler colony,
Mm-hmm.
in which people from the metropolitan state move permanently to the colonized territory and they transform themselves to indigenous settlers.
Okay.
Okay, so and then on the other hand, you have those during the colonial period in which they all only send career people to the colonial state to work in the colonial administration, and at the end of their tenure, they return back to their home country.
Oh,
In
okay.
which case, they never regarded the colonized territory as their home.
Oh, right.
So in the
right.
case of the America, it was that of a settler colony in
Right.
which they came permanently,
Right.
and so it's a
Right.
little bit
Okay. Okay.
different.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Another thing about post colonialism, or at least my understanding, came from studying literature and doing like Kipling and British literature in the colonies of South Asia. And so my understanding of post colonialism came through literature, and it was like the voice of the colonized people, which is a big break from the colonial period, like, say, Kipling or whatever, when the European literature dominated. Post colonialism was when the literature of the former colonized peoples became the standard.
Yes, you have that in African literature, and the one that probably started it all is the work of
Oh, let me stop. Is it Chinua Achebe?
Chinua Achebe.
Okay, because I read Things Fall Apart. I read that
Yes.
in college.
Yes, Things
Okay,
Fall Apart.
yes, okay.
Although technically speaking, Things Fall Apart was published before colonialism ended in Nigeria. It was published in 1958, and colonialism had ended 2 years later in 1960.
Okay.
But the colonial empire had started to crumble in Africa. Ghana had become independent prior to that. There are few countries that have become independent, and Nigeria was on the verge of gaining its independence by that time. So it was part of that the platform that now gave the colonized peoples a voice to now at least reject the narrative that is coming from the colonizer.
And I think I know what you're talking about, because I remember reading that Chinua Achebe gave a speech, a famous speech about that. It's like, now it's the voice of the, and he rejected the colonial, the prior, voice.
In fact, it was his Things Fall Apart could be regarded as a kind of a response to Joseph Conrad's Heart of Darkness, in which he painted the African peoples or the colonized peoples as primitive, barbaric, savage, and all sorts of those kind of labels. And so it was the post-colonial literature took off on that to now give a voice to the former colonized people, so that they can now tell their own story from their own perspective and reject the narrative that is coming from the former colonizers.